What's good, y'all, and welcome to my first impressions of The Last of Us series. First and foremost, sorry this took so damn long to get out to you guys. Because now the reason it took so long for this, one, you guys know I came back from the dorms on Saturdays when I moved back. I was on when I traveled back from the plane and everything, so there was that too. But I thought that The Last of Us series was airing on Mondays, but in fact it was airing on Sundays, so I missed it when it was live. And due to other stuff and other videos I was working on at the time, mostly just getting the thumbnails together for part 6, finishing those up and everything, it ended up waiting this long to where I was finally able to watch the series. But yeah, finally watched the first episode. Just finished it, man. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys know I was tweeting like a madman while watching it. But bro, this episode was fucking incredible, man. Like, I think, given how this episode turns out, I think The Last of Us will be the greatest live action video game adaptation of all time. I think it's already on that path there, man. Like, from where we are from this first episode, this show looks very promising, man. Now who knows? It could shit the bed the next episode and go downhill. But from this episode, what we saw from the trailers, as well as what we saw in the next episode preview, or I guess next episode's preview, because after the episode, at least on HBO Max, I watched this on HBO Max. I didn't watch it live when it was airing on HBO, because like I said, I missed it. But from the rest of the episodes, I'm going to try and make sure I catch it live on HBO. But anyway, we saw the next episode preview, which shows up, I guess, the rest of the episodes. I don't know how long the show is going to be running for, but regardless of stuff, it looks like it looks amazing, man. But yeah, so yeah, I'm very much intrigued, and definitely, I'm gonna just tell you guys right now, watch this show. Like, especially if you love The Last of Us, man, watch this show. It's fucking incredible. At least from this first episode, anyway. But like I said, it could go down for hill, but it doesn't seem like it will. Anyway, guys, let us jump right in. So the show, of course, stars Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, Gabriel Luna, Anna Trav, Nico Parker, and of course, Ashley Johnson, as well as Troy Barrett, are going to have major roles in this series as well. And the plot of the Last of Us series, if you didn't already know it, Joel and Ellie, a pair connected through the harshness of the world they live in, are forced to endure brutal circumstances and ruthless killers on a trek across post-outbreak America. Now, let's talk about the first thing. First off, the cast is amazing. Now, I mentioned this in my trailer reactions, if you guys remember, that I always envisioned for a live-action Last of Us adaptation, I always envisioned Ben Affleck as Joel. I always just envisioned Ben Affleck, me personally. Now, Pedro, he is fucking incredible in the show, man. From the trailers, he looked amazing, but in the show itself, he is amazing, man. He embodies Joel so much, and he is just perfect. He is perfect as Joel. Now, Bella Ramsey is a character, is someone I know a lot of people were kind of iffy about her as Ellie, because she looks nothing like Ashley, for one. But I know a lot of people were iffy about her. Me personally, I didn't really have any opinion either way, mostly because I hadn't seen anything from her. I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but I gotta say, after this first episode, she is amazing. She embodies so much of what Ashley brought to the character in the video games that I think she's a perfect fit for Ellie. When I look at her, honestly, I almost question if Ashley is is just puppeting her body or something, because I see a lot of Ashley in her. So yeah, Bella, she's fantastic, man. I thought she was amazing. The rest of the cast, from the ones we do see here, was amazing as well. Nico Parker, you guys know, it plays Sarah. I thought she was great as well. Fun fact, actually, the woman that's actually playing Marlene, and I only found this out because of the little behind the scenes featurette they played right after the episode in the next episode preview, that the woman who's playing Marlene in the show actually auditioned to play Marlene for the game too, which I thought was pretty funny when I saw that, man. But yeah, the rest of the cast I thought was fantastic. Another thing I gotta say is that the directing in this episode is on point, man. Like, I was very curious to know how this. One thing I was kind of curious about, given how cinematic the game is, was how they were going to adapt a lot of the camera moves and everything from the game into the movie, because you don't have the same freedom as just moving around the right stick to see what you want to see. Cameras, it doesn't work like that in films. But but overall the director, like I said, was amazing. But I loved how they adapted the camera angles in certain moments from the game into the show. The biggest one is obviously the truck sequence, because you guys remember in the game, you're playing as Sarah Sarah, you play, you can move the camera wherever you please. Sarah moves to whatever window you see, and you can see what she sees wherever you want to see it. But I loved how the show adapted, where basically the camera is locked in the truck, and you kind of do follow Sarah around, and it does kind of like give that same feeling as it did in the game. I thought that was a really way how they adapted that sequence into the show. I thought that was a really cool way how they adapted it. It looked really great, man. The music is of course fantastical. I don't know if the composer from the game has returned for the series, or if they got another composer instead. Either way, man, the music from we saw of it was fantastic, man. And also another thing I gotta praise is that this show actually has a fucking intro, man. And oh my god, bro, I popped so big for this, man, because you know that we never get actual real intros in TV shows nowadays. Whatever reason, TV studios just doesn't want to do a real intro like they did back in the day. It's always just the text, it's always just the logo, and that's it, man. I don't know, like I said, it seems like HBO is like the only company that actually does it, man, because, this has it, Game of Thrones had its intro, man, but I will say that the intro last did remind me a lot of the Game of Thrones intro, to be fair, low-key a little bit. But I love the intro for the show, man. It uses the theme from the games, of course. And yeah, it was just nice to see an actual intro for the show. That was nice. I did not expect that. And that was nice to see, man. But, so that was amazing, man. Another thing I gotta say is the practical effects. Oh my god, amazing. Like when we see the clicker or infected person stuck on the wall when we're with Tess and Joel. My god, man. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some. I don't know if that was all CGI. For all I know, that could have been all CGI. But it looked like it was all practical effects, man. Either way, man, it looked amazing. And we know from the trailers and everything, the clickers are going to look amazing as well. Some of the other infected we saw in the trailers, and of course, the next episode previews also looked really good as well. But yeah, so shout out to the effects team, man. Like I said, I don't know if they're all CGI, but they look to be practical effects, mostly practical, maybe with some CGI added in later. But either way, man, the effects for the show from so far look amazing in terms for the infected, man. Now, the biggest thing that I think this show does well, and I'm glad the show is doing this, is that they are expanding upon what was already done in the game. Now, this is something that a lot of people have mentioned, that this show's strongest suit is what best way for it to diversify from the game, and I think make it its own thing, is to expand on the game rather than just try to just adapt it, beat for beat, which I like to see. I loved how the show started out, and I'm trying not to get too deep into spoilers. At least tried not to, but which is gonna be hard considering I've already played the game and everything. So it's gotta be like, oh, what is technically a spoiler? What isn't a spoiler? But whatever the case may be, I loved how the show started off, where it goes back into like the '60s, and you have like these two scientists or whatever talking about infections with fungi. Obviously, insinuating about what happened with the cordyceps, the clickers, and everything. But I thought that was a cool way to set the tone for what the show is going to be going on by starting it there before we get back into Sarah and Joel and all that shit happens. But yeah, I love the little bits of the expansion they did show off in the game from the game so far in this episode, and we know it's going to be explained on more because we know Ashley Johnson looks like to be playing Ellie's mom, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I've been loving how they've been expanding on the show a little bit, expanding more on the characters, expanding more on the universe, and I hope this is something to keep going on throughout the rest of the game. Like another thing I thought was pretty cool, we actually get to see Tess, with Robert right before she meets up with Joel in the beginning at the start of the game, man. That was pretty cool as well to see. And there was also a couple other moments as well. Like we actually got to see Sarah actually get Joel's watch fixed and how she got that together. That was pretty cool. See, there were some other scenes as well, but I really dug all the little expansions they did from the game into the show, man. I thought they were really well done, man. Now, in terms of flaws I have with this, there was really only one thing that I had issue with is, first off, when we get to the scene at the start of the game, man, for anyone who hasn't played the game and doesn't know and they're experiencing the last story for the first time through the show, I'm not going to spoil it. But whenever we get to the scene, they changed up the location of it from how it was in the original game, which, I mean, the scene works spectacularly in the show. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of preferred the location they were in, where they were kind of going underground rather than this grass field that is in the show. I kind of prefer how the game did a little bit more with the overall location. I just thought it looked a little bit better compared to how it was in the show with this grass field that they're in the show. I don't know. That was one thing, but one thing I gotta say is when they like do like the placement of the intro in this episode, because like I said, you guys know I mentioned before, I love the intro for the show. It looks amazing and everything, but I wish they placed it a little bit better, because you guys remember in the game, right after the scene is when the intro of the game plays, the theme plays and everything. We find out, before it has a time skip, and we see, kind of hear about the cordyceps infection spreading and spreading before we get to where the game actually begins with Joel and everything. We get to that scene. In the show, they just go from that scene right to the time skip. And it does not hit as hard when you don't have the song playing and everything, man. I think they should have waited for to push the intro until here, man, then play the intro, man. That's just my personal opinion. It works so well in the game, and no lie, without it, when they switched it up in the show, it doesn't hit as hard, at least for me, man. But yeah, besides that, man, this show is amazing. I am very much excited for the rest of the series, man. The next episode preview showed up the hospital for a hot second, which... Oh, you series onlys, man, y'all are not ready. You are not ready for the hospital or for the fucking snow. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, y'all are not ready for those scenes. Also, there was also one other scene around the end of the episode that I loved how they switched it up compared to how it was in the game. That one was also amazing as well, man. Like I said, I've been loving the additions and the expansions on the series that the show has added from the game, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else Neil Druckmann and the other writers of HBO cook up for the rest of the series. But so far, this show looks extremely promising, and I can't wait for the rest of it, man. So, like I mentioned before the Star review, I highly recommend you guys do check the series out if you guys are fans of The Last of Us, man. And so, overall, my final verdict for The Last of Us, or at least the first episode anyway, is a 10 out of 10, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you're not surprised by that. Y'all know how much I love this game. One of my all-time favorite games. And yeah, honestly, this show surprised me a lot. I did not expect this episode to be as good as it was, man, honestly. But yeah, shout out to HBO, man. They really knocked out the park with this first episode. We'll see if they can keep this up for the future episodes. I don't know how long the show's going to be running for. I don't know if it's like 8 episodes or going to be like 12 episodes or whatever. Whatever the case may be, I'm excited. So yeah, as always, guys, leave your thoughts below in the comments. What you guys saw the first episode? Are you guys hyped for the rest of the series? Yeah. So anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new. Follow me on my socials if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time. You